Today we've got to talk about something that I think is rather important, and that is our expectation for XRP. Because let's be honest here, I think a lot of people have been very disappointed, yet another majority of sorts understands the way that XRP functions most likely in this bull market and how the price will act. And so I just want to kind of enlighten some of you with what I'm still thinking, what I'm doing, am I buying, what are my plans, when am I going to sell? And I'll all start out by saying I'm not really buying as much XRP right now in the cycle as I have done throughout the last couple of months. I've explained to you guys very often that you go from basically your fiat to Bitcoin to big altcoins like an Ethereum, like an XRP, some of those, to your smaller and smaller altcoins as time progresses. At this point in the market, I'd say we have reached the big altcoin stage and are eventually going to go over into the crazier altcoins. But because I've been around for such a long time, I know many of my big altcoins like an Ethereum and XRP, etc., will probably do well, but crazier altcoins will just do way better. And I already have so much in Ethereum, XRP, etc. that I've just basically got around for the longer term. You guys might know I have so many different ledgers with different things, different amounts, etc., etc., some of which I'll probably not touch for another few years, perhaps never, if I'm of course not gonna, sell and then buy back later in the season with my entire portfolio, but I don't think I'll do that. Point being, I bought my fair share of these long-term coins. Now it's time to focus more on short-term. What's going to do well this cycle? And I'm not looking for coins that are guaranteed to do well because I already bought those in the bear market. Again, I always say you've got two sorts of tokens. Your value coins, the ones that are undervalued right now, for example, or that really just deserve to be at higher prices because of things that happened in the past. And you have your momentum coins, what's hot, what's working, what's the hype. The value, throw it out the window a little bit. It doesn't matter that much when the hype gets bigger. It's very valuable when, things are not as stable, or if you're looking for these, again, like I said, longer term plays, or you're not really a risk taker, but I am. I've told you that many times. I don't think going from $1,000 to $10,000 in a bull run is good results. If you're not taking your $1,000 to at least $40,000, you've messed up. I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, believe you could do way better. Which is why I keep saying I'm looking more for those momentum plays. What's hot right now, but can go even hotter. And the difficult part is XRP, in my opinion, has a really undervalued status. And I think the multiplier on it could be insane, but it's just not got momentum. And I know I've been telling you many times that could change in a snap. And I'll show you why in just a second. But still, you have to make choices with what you're going for right now. I've already got enough for my value bag. Now I'm just going for what's hot, what's popping, what can I make some money on quickly, so to speak. Not fully true. A lot of these bags are still there for months to come. But I always say, don't overcommit to just one asset. Many of you guys might hold only one or two coins. Again, you can do that. But if you've got, a goose as an example, a geese. Some people say, yeah, but this one has golden eggs, so we really have to hold this dear because it's golden. All the other ones are like just normal eggs, right? We have to protect the golden eggs and only go for golden eggs and feed that goose, whatever. And I keep saying, well, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. If you're really certain that one is like the best, it's golden, it makes sense to go for it. But car comes by, boom, all the eggs flattened. Or all of a sudden, a bad winter and those eggs got a little bit too cold. All the eggs in that nest are gone. I mean, they were golden, but now they're like flattened and the gold is like rusted away or whatever. You understand where I'm coming from. Not a good example, but you understand the notion. Then it would have been nicer to have a little bit of eggs in all these different baskets instead of just in a golden one. Because even though they might have been less than optimal, at least you had a couple of different ones. So if one gets ran over, you still have another couple of ones. Or if one doesn't really hatch or it hatches really late, you could have taken the profits from selling all these eggs or all these new geese, whatever, to put more into your golden eggs. To continue on, I've talked about this theory more often. And people in my comment section like to say, Dusty, don't talk about Bitcoin, please. And my response is always, if you're a serious crypto holder, right? You're a person that's really into crypto, and you're not basing everything on where Bitcoin goes, I think you're just being non-realistic. I think the realistic opinion should always be Bitcoin decides the tone, but altcoins ultimately take over. And whatever Bitcoin does in this like peak euphoria phase, it don't really matter too much. Even as Bitcoin goes back down, a lot of altcoins will stay in that euphoria. And over maybe prolonged periods of time, it might not matter. Right now, though, everything is correlated. And so Bitcoin in the baseline is very important. And I said before, previous times, Bitcoin went from like $45,000 to $60,000 in 2 weeks twice. It's not that crazy for what would happen right now. 45,000 to 60 could happen in a clip of an eye. And again, every single cycle, Bitcoin basically looks the same. Yes, we can get another correction. Yes, it wouldn't be too crazy to actually fall 25% towards 37, for example, before continuing up. Even like this Black Swan event, we went down even lower. It's possible, wouldn't be too crazy, but ultimately we know the direction is upwards. And with that bias in the back of our head, often we buy, altcoins with that notion in mind that as long as Bitcoin is successful, a lot of altcoins will pump. Here's one of my targets, for example, just got hit, and Bitcoin's target also just got hit. No, but mostly on the XRP front end. This chart right here is more than optimal. So let's get one thing straight, all right? What we've got here is not necessarily likely to occur, some move of this nature, because everything needs to basically be optimal for this to happen. And it's obviously a massive push towards like what, $40 or so in a very short time span. But what I mean with this chart as well is to show you guys that this, in the breakout, which you see here, does actually very often happen. A breakout of this magnitude is not unheard of, is not insanity. It happens. People often say, Dusty, but you can't go to $20 in XRP and stuff. And I say, why not? What is stopping you? No, market cap, you can't go. And I say, what are you talking about, dude? Market cap? Because there's a cap to the market? No, it's not. It's just the amount of tokens times the price. And theoretically speaking, it's infinite, especially with these cryptocurrencies. It's such a new way of valuing things because, as I've described to you before, the market is so much more free than usual. If, hypothetically speaking, I were to decide to make a new Dusty coin, there's 1 billion of those, right? And I sell only one of them at $1, it's worth $1 billion. That's why a lot of coins are not in the top of the top, like Hex, and there's actually many of them, because it just depends on which parameters do you agree with. And that's why most of the time you look at circulating market cap, not the fully diluted market cap of all the tokens ever. But even if they were, it's a hard argument to make that there's a cap to how much these cryptos could be worth. Because essentially it's just like money. Is there a cap to how much money there could be in circulation ever? No, because they could keep printing. And no, it's not the same as with literal money because there's a finite amount of Bitcoin, there's a finite amount of XRP. I just mean the cap for market cap. For example, what's the most that stocks will ever be worth? If you asked somebody 100 years ago, they would have told you, oh, $1 billion we will never see. And now one company, Microsoft, is worth what, $3.5 trillion? And that story kind of goes on. So just because it's not in your vision right now doesn't mean it can't happen, especially with newer technologies like this. Usually it changes that curve a lot. A good example is, if I ask you now, how much money should the richest person in the world have? I don't think anybody, or has right now, I don't think anybody would tell me more than $1 trillion, right? Because, we have Bernard Arnault, we have Elon Musk, we have Jeff Bezos, we have your Bill Gates, etc. Yet, if you think about it, if Bill Gates didn't sell stock, he'd be a trillionaire now. But to people, it's hard to understand that there could be trillionaires already. It's in a small stone. Again, if others, for example, had more time to compound the results they've been getting for what, the last 50 years, 40 years, they'd be quadrillionaires now if they were to do it for 30 years extra. Meaning, if we think about it 30 years into the future, a trillionaire ain't that crazy, but perhaps even a quadrillionaire is not that crazy. My point being, people often put these limits on how high things can go based on what they believe to be common sense, and I always say, a $40, even $100 XRP is not crazy. It's not out of the ordinary. It's just that it's pretty unlikely to happen in one cycle, in one little run. But see it from the perspective of Bitcoin hit $20,000, Ethereum hit $1,200 or $1,400 when XRP hit that 3. Bitcoin going 10x from that, so 200,000. Ethereum going to 12,000. XRP going to 30. I think it will happen, all those. Yeah, I think so. And again, let me put one base down. I think if you see XRP as some sort of meme coin that has to do really, really well within a couple of days or it's a failure, I think we're off. The only thing is, I understand people's frustration that it's been a few years. Again, I'm no XRP spokesman. I've never been paid by Ripple. I've met Ripple people at like conferences sometimes, but I've never been given an XRP or anything. So from that perspective, I'm not here to tell you lies or speak to you, oh no, Ripple's the best. Some things they do is pretty stupid. I'll tell you about it. At the end of the day, I'm not one of those guys that will keep telling you no, but XRP. If there's a better investment opportunity, I will just talk to you about it. You can decide for yourself, because I think you're pretty smart if you're watching this channel. No, but I think you for yourself can decide, is that what I want to do, or do I just want to hold this one asset I believe in? Sometimes people come up to me and say, Dusty, you make me buy XRP. Thank you, thank you. And some people are not happy that they bought XRP. But hey, and I always say, it's not really about what made you buy. It's about where you're at now. Whatever you bought initially is the most important part. Getting started with crypto is most important. But think about it from what I'm doing here. I've made so many videos about XRP because, again, I think a lot of what they do is really, really smart, and I see potential in it. Doesn't mean it's the only thing I talk about. Doesn't mean it's the only thing I hold. Doesn't mean it's the only thing I think will make us money. And again, that's the difference between just being somebody who only thinks about hype, only thinks about that one dream scenario, and somebody else who's just busy with investing, busy getting better, perhaps getting more. And please, just for yourself, decide whichever one you want to be. If your goal is to only talk about one coin because you believe it is the absolute and only truth, then I'm just going to say we are of different opinions. Yours is not necessarily wrong. Mine is not necessarily wrong, right? We're just different in that sense. I personally like to maximize here the result of my investments that I've proven over time, that everybody around me has proven. But I'll grant you one thing. If I had just put everything I had into Solana, that just did a 250x over the last couple of weeks, like the last 4 months or so, would have probably been a better choice than any other coin. And so sometimes you get lucky with just one coin, the right time, crazy gains. But I don't want anybody to feel bad if that's not the case. That's why I diversify. That's why I go crazy on the entirety of crypto, and we go for different sectors. Because I told you just now, gaming, popping off. AI, popping off. BRC stuff, pumping off. And I don't want anybody to miss everything and feel the regret that I felt when I was like, I'm not going to look into it. No. Now I'm tapped in. And I've got so many insights, and I share it with you guys all the time. There is zero chance that you guys would not have doubled your money if you're, again, zero chance if you're going for the place I'm going for. Solana, since I made a really beautiful video about it, has 4x'd in the last 1 month, 1.5 months or so. DGI, I talk about it when? 2-3 days ago, has doubled. Metis did really, really well. API 3 did really, really well. VR has more than doubled since I talked about it. Again, when did I talk about it? 4 days ago or so? And we can talk about that more, the COT and MBS, a couple of others, but there will be many. It's not as if you're not catching on to some of the coins, you're too late. I'll talk about that in a different video. There's so much opportunity just to be open for it. And if you are, many great things, I believe, will flow your way. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure you press that like button. About XRP, yeah, bro, it's either, for me, right? It's either $40 or that range, or at least $10 plus, like at least getting to here, or what's the point? Again, my own opinion, you might disagree, but I personally think if it does not hit like $12 or so this run, it was failed, and I'll be disappointed. But again, in my own personal belief, the reason I've got so much XRP is because I'm not selling at like 50 cents. When it previous runs, every time did crazy when people gave up on it. When the bear market started again, when Bitcoin tapped at its all-time high and fell down, that's when XRP went. I can't miss it. My mental state will not allow me to miss it, because I still believe these guys know what they're doing. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.